They felt like they were part of my early journey. Getting your customers on side is another element of winning, but realizing that if you delay getting gratification, you will make more money. And there's so many examples of this. If you look at big businesses, they spent years making no money. And then when they had the system all in place, huge databases, for example, then they can monetize. And people don't wait long enough. The other thing you can do is have a very strict moral code within your business, a culture. Culture will eat strategy for breakfast every single time. You've got to make sure that your culture in the company is client-centric. A good example of this is Amazon. I'm just saying that they do actually focus on their customers as a culture. And I think that a lot of people are too busy, for example, thinking about how they can get money out of their customer and not thinking how they can bring value. And if you want to win, bring value. You want loyalty, bring value. You want them to follow you, promote you, share you on their stories, care about you, talk about you when you're not in the room, then show them some love. It sounds simple, but people don't do it because they're too busy not waiting for the payoff and too busy not installing a culture of patience, a culture of caring about your customer. And then the final thing is luck. Now, luck is not a subjective thing. Luck, I have discovered, is hackable. And you can hack luck 3 ways. First, be persistent. And what I mentioned earlier about purpose and loving what you do will help you be persistent. You have to outlast other people. When I launched my company Fluid in Hong Kong, I had so many competitors, but slowly but surely, they all shut down, went bankrupt. They didn't care like I did. And I think that whole luck thing is about persistence. That's number 1. Number 2 in hacking luck is know your destination. What is success for you? What will make you happy? What do you want? Big company, small company? And by the way, a big company is much easier to run than a small company. Aim for a big company is my recommendation. But that's my opinion. It might not work for you. So I suggest you define success for yourself. Today, success for me is having the time to take my son to school and be able to pick him up. It's having time to do the exercise I want to do. That's how I define success. So I never sell hours. And we'll come to that in a little bit, why you should never sell hours. But luck is hackable. You have to be persistent. You have to know your destination. And finally, you have to learn to take risk. Be careful with sayings out there trying to trick you into options that are not true. So the worst one is the harder you work, the luckier you get. That is not true. That is a lie designed to make you work hard. If it was true, every nurse in this country would be a millionaire. It is not true that working hard equals success. What equals success is taking risk. You have to learn to take risk. Lean into fear. Learn to love fear. Embrace it. And then you can take more risk. And the more risk you take, the luckier you get. Learn to build culture into your businesses about the long term and learn to hack luck. You will win. The secret to it all is learning to accept that you could lose everything and it doesn't matter. You've got to be willing to risk it all. Take a chance and go for it. Do not rush. Do not see this as anything but a marathon. It's not a sprint. Enjoy the journey. Don't rush. No one can beat you if you do it. So delayed gratification is key. Brands like Facebook and Instagram, although I'm not a fan necessarily of these platforms, they personify this concept. They did build massive user bases, but they didn't monetize them at the beginning. They waited. They just kept building value in their platforms for the users, and more people kept signing up. And they didn't actually monetize for a very long time. I think Facebook was nearly 10 years before it started making money. And although I'm not suggesting you wait 10 years and those companies have different investment structures, which we'll talk about a bit later, it is important to understand how important this is to building a successful long-term business. Do not think about making money straight up. Build a brand, not a business. And those businesses like Facebook and Instagram, they waited a decade before they started monetizing. And as soon as they started monetizing, Facebook in particular, it started to decline as a brand. Less people liked it. Too many ads on the screen, too many annoying buttons that didn't have any relevance to them because they were suddenly trying to make their client happy, the advertiser, and no longer focused on the user in the same way. So be careful. But that is how you build massive economic moats. People like Google, similar. At the beginning, no revenue. YouTube, at the beginning, no revenue. Focus on building something that has value for people. Delayed gratification is one of the secret weapons in building a sustainable, large, and successful business that you love. Next up, how to lose. It might sound like a strange title, but it's the number one thing I've noticed that people don't learn to do that doesn't allow them to be successful. This all stems back probably to school, where you were told that success was getting an A. It's not. Success is actually accepting failure, learning to bounce back from failure, embracing failure, having learnings from the businesses that I have been involved in that have failed, have allowed me to be successful. I guarantee you, if I hadn't lost £1 million on doing a comic book business, I wouldn't be rich or successful today. I needed to learn how to fail. I needed to accept losing. It's key. And so how do you build the stamina and the ability to lose? The first thing you realize, number one, don't let things own you. If you let things own you, you are controlled by the very thing that's meant to bring you pleasure. You have to learn to lose those things and not care about those things. The second thing, to lose, you need to let your short-term ego go. Now, ego is actually a very powerful motivator, and there are different types of ego. The ego I'm talking about here is driving around in the right car to give an image to people that don't care about you that you are successful. Do not worry about this. Learn to enjoy looking like you're a loser. Let people underestimate you. It is so powerful to be underestimated by your competition, even by your customers, because if they think you can't deliver and you do, then brilliant. Do not worry about losing. Learn to be a D student. Love to fail. That's why 80% of A students end up working for D students, because A students are scared to lose. They don't want to lose. They always want to get an A. They always want to be seen as the smartest person in the room. Don't worry about it. Learn to lose. Learn to embrace getting a D. And getting a D in business means take your time. Don't let someone else decide whether or not you're success or not. Do not let anybody else tell you how to do things. And ironically, power up your ego in a different way, an internal ego that tells you you're not a loser. You know where you're going. No matter what people judge you based on the car that you're driving or where you're living or what you do with your day, don't let them decide that you're a loser. Let them think whatever they want. Learn to love losing. Learn to embrace failure. I promise you, if you think that the worst is if you try something and you lose everything, it doesn't matter, you can go again, you will succeed. I guarantee it. Next up, I want to teach you something practical. How to do a mind map. So many people teach you in business to do a business plan. Forget that shit. There is no use for a business plan. What you want to do is map out where your business could go, how it could go, and understand the different directions of which to take your business. And I'm going to go through how to do a mind map next. Now, I have never seen anyone teach anybody how to do a mind map. And the reason I think that no one teaches this is because there's no template to sell you. There's no product to sell you around. A business plan has a million ways to make money out of you, and none of it works. These business plan things actually kill companies. I've seen people write up massive business plans, stick to it, and die. A mind map, however, will cost you nothing to do and actually leaves you nimble and free to explore where the business can go. And it's so simple. It starts in the middle with your hobby. Whatever that is, what you love to do. Second part of a mind map is the business. I can't spell, but don't judge me for that. Luckily, I know what I'm doing in business. What is the business? So what is your hobby? What do you love to do? And ideally, it now links to the business. Now, with the business, and I'm going to use my company as an example, hopefully it translates into what maybe your idea is. But in my business, which is what we call Free Humanity, the name probably gives it away, what we want to do. We want people to be free, to do what they love. So within Free Humanity, this is what I did when I first started the business 4 years ago. I looked at different ways that I can make the business work. So off here, I wrote podcast. Right? Actually, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the first things I actually did. So from a podcast, what comes off it? Well, I build a network, right? I'm now doing a mind map of something I actually have already done to illustrate how a mind map works when you're building out a business of value. So one of the benefits of doing a podcast was a network. In my case, I managed to interview over 200 of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, which are now part of my life and help me with what I'm doing, help you on helpbank.com. That was one of my ambitions, and it was on my mind map network. The second thing was brands. I realized if I did a podcast, I could probably make revenue from brands. Now, with a mind map, you can get bigger and bigger and bigger with mind maps. There's no stopping how big a mind map can get. Just like your brain is infinite in its ability to think, a mind map is also infinite. And when I wrote the original mind map out for my business, I thought brands, and then I started listing them. So in my case, GoDaddy, Tide Banking, Adobe. These were brands that I felt were a fit with what I wanted to do. Give people the ability to start their own business, be free, do what they love. So I listed out all the brands that I could work with. I also listed in my original mind map, and I didn't do it at the beginning, but it ended up becoming part of what I did, was an app. And an app that would focus on free help for people. Now at the time, I didn't have the name that I now have, which is helpbank.com, but I knew that I needed to build a scalable way of giving people knowledge. Now what I didn't know back then that I know now, a quick bit of insight, is that app is overused as a word. It's actually not an app that you need to build at the beginning for most platforms. You need to build a web-based platform. Why? Well, if you build an app, you have to go in the App Store or in the Google Play Store. You get restricted by one of those two locations. So people that have a Samsung phone can't access the Apple Store to download your app. Why would you, when you launch something, restrict people from getting access to it? Plus, if it's web-based, people can just log in straight from a web browser, any web browser. That aside, I realized in my early days, I needed to do an app. And from that, I would do free help. And from that, I would be able to connect the network that I'd built in the podcast to the free help. So the people that I'd interviewed in the podcast, the knowledge that I was capturing in their case, I could connect now, that network being built via the podcast, to the help on the platform. This is how it's actually played out. The next thing I spent time thinking about was team. And on a mind map, I thought